So welcome to everyone. We appreciate you coming tonight. Just a couple of technical reminders. If you have a video camera, we appreciate you turning it on so we can see your smiling faces. We also ask that you remain muted throughout the session so we can hear all of our presenters. If you are using a phone for audio, you'll need to just self-mute that so we don't take away from you trying to communicate. Most of this evening, we will be communicating using the chat function in your Zoom menu bar. If you don't see a chat function, you should see the word more with 3 little dots. And if you click on that, it will give you the chat option. You also have the opportunity under the participant function to use raise hand, and in your reactions icon, you can give us some feedback periodically in nonverbal ways. So I think everyone's getting familiar with Zoom. If you want to see everybody at one time, you'll choose gallery view. If you're just seeing me right now, mainly on the big screen, you're in speaker view. So on your view settings, you can toggle between the 2 of those. So with that, again, this meeting is being recorded. And Glenn, off to you.
Thank you, Jill. The International Visioning Facilitation Council welcomes you this evening. The council is comprised of organized, dedicated, and trained Rotarians guiding a Rotary Club to better envision its future. The IVFC welcomes you to this informational update. It's wonderful to have you this evening. We will be discussing the who, what, when, and where, but most importantly, the why. Visioning is the foundation of a successful club, bringing its members together toward building continuity of leadership, consistency in programming, and consensus toward purpose and action. The visioning process allows the club to develop a roadmap to success. You will be able to assist any club grow and become more effective. During this interactive session, you will recognize the changes in the newly modified curriculum and how the club will benefit. We will distinguish between the traditional and on-site version versus the contemporary and virtual delivery option. You will acquire knowledge about multiple program roles when utilizing an interactive Zoom platform. We will identify what resource tools are available from the IVFC to help your teams. You may attain information on selected analytical data to help measure your success. We will help you prepare to conduct a Vision to Success sessions for your clubs in your district. At this time, I turn it over to IVFC board members Kathy Smith and Rotary Coordinator Rita Esterly, who will cover some of the newly modified curriculum. Kathy.
Thanks, Glenn. So what's changed in the curriculum? As we worked through our enhancements, we made a strong effort to maintain consistency throughout the process, so everything from presentations to resources look familiar to the participants from beginning to end. One of the ways we did this was to create a couple of standard frameworks. First, something that may look familiar to you, the 5 planning questions you see on the screen. Who are we and where are we is where we include an updated club profile and Rotary Visioning questionnaire, which will help clubs understand their starting point, and will create analytics, which Rita and Mike will talk about later. Where do we want to be is the visioning event itself with the club. How will we get there and how will we know we've arrived includes new club resources that we'll talk about in a few minutes. We also included as a framework the Rotary International Action Plan. It is the epitome of action statements that we hope clubs can and should be focusing on for success and growth. We also wanted the clubs to see that RI is walking the talk, embracing a 5-year plan to guide them and the organization. It is worth noting that we used to encourage clubs to have a 5-year plan, but our experience found if it didn't happen in 3 years, it didn't happen. Thus, we encourage clubs to think about a 3-year plan, then repeat the visioning experience. We've seen great success for clubs with this small yet significant timeline adjustment. The graphic also can illustrate for our clubs the balance that we try to instill in them and their leaders. If we adapt, we expand our reach. If we expand our reach locally, regionally, internationally, we will increase our impact. To do this, we must enhance participant engagement. We believe that helping Rotarians in our clubs connect with RI through the Rotary Action Plan will be very beneficial. Rita, can you share some of the upgrades?
Well, thanks, Kathy. We updated several documents. Concerning analytics, we made the club profile, which is filled out by the club president or the club liaison, with 7 questions that can be answered before the visioning, and then again after a time period, such as a year, to see how the club has changed. It includes such questions as number of members, number of volunteer hours, dollars raised, and so forth. The second document to provide analytics is the Rotary Visioning Questionnaire that we call the RVQ. It has 1 general question asking if the club is healthy, and then 11 questions related to the areas we focus on in the writing exercise. This document can be given again after a time period to see if the members have changed their perspective of the club due to the visioning goals that they have accomplished. Lastly, we align the writing exercise with the Rotary Action Plan. The areas under each of the Rotary Action Plan priorities are probably pretty familiar to you from the previous writing exercise. Under the priority of increasing our ability to adapt, the club would consider their vision pursued, their club structure, and how relevant they are in their community. Under the priority of expanding our reach, the club will consider club size, their club attributes, and their public image. Under the priority of enhancing participant engagement, the club looks at how to engage their members and how to train their leaders. And under the priority of increasing our impact, the club looks at community service and also international service. They also vision about fundraisers and the Rotary Foundation. Kathy?
Thanks, Rita. We're really excited to roll out some new resources which will address a concern we've heard over the years. Clubs are excited about visioning, but they struggle with implementation. To that end, we've added the pieces you see listed here on the screen, which we'll address over the next few slides. We added the master plan because we felt clubs needed to have a visual guide to assist them with sorting out the goals over the current and upcoming years. After the visioning event, a group of Rotarians from the club will look over the ideas that received the highest number of votes, and they'll place them in year 1, year 2, or year 3, or possibly on a large project, it might even be listed as phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Not only will this help the club prioritize their plan, but it will assist incoming leaders with a guide for what might and should be occurring during their year in leadership. From here, each idea will promulgate an action plan. Rita, can you share what we've done to assist the club members?
Sure, Kathy. After figuring out which ideas to put on the master plan, and after the entire club is shown the visioning results, we suggest that for each idea, an action plan be created for year 1. A group or individuals, depending on what the club wants to do as they proceed, will take the ideas and create an achievable goal for each. Then they will define the tasks that must be accomplished in order to achieve the goal. Additionally, they will determine who will lead, and then they will look at who will help. Then maybe some resources that they need, when they will start, and maybe when they will conclude, and any additional comments that need to be made about the tasks. They will define as many tasks as needed to accomplish the goal. This answers the fourth planning question, which is, how will we get there? Once all the tasks are generated, then they will predict the outcome. Predicting the outcome allows them to answer the fifth planning question, which is, how will we know we've arrived? In learning theory, practicing what one has learned serves to ingrain the learning in the brain. So time is spent during the visioning event having the participants actually develop an action plan. This helps them to practice the skill that they will need to achieve their vision. They are given an example of the action plan prior to doing the exercise. Then they are given specific instructions about how to accomplish the exercise. In an on-site session, they are broken into small groups. In a virtual session, they are sent to the breakout rooms. In each method, they are given 15 minutes to practice creating an action plan for one of the goals the facilitator has chosen out of their list of extracted ideas. When brought back together, they have a brief chance to share the experience with each other as an entire group and to feel empowered with a clear expectation of what they need to accomplish. The Vision to Success volunteers are much more eager to step up with having not only a practice session, but the witnessing of the enthusiasm and the participation of their fellow club members in the process of reporting how they develop that action plan. Kathy, tell us about how the club gets from their vision to success.
Thank you. Previously, this slide in the visioning process was simply called Next Steps. We retitled this to help the club and leadership see that this truly is how to get through implementation and to success. Most of these steps are the same or similar, though you might note we upgraded from Club Champion to Club Impact, Leader, or Team. We felt this better reflects this role and gave options of either an individual or a group in that role. Hand in hand with this, we now have a Vision to Success guide, which will be sent to the club president as soon as the club completes the visioning event. The guide includes how-tos, suggestions, ideas, and resources for each of these 6 steps. The concerns from the clubs about what do we do next should be alleviated with this guide and our master plan, action plan forms as resources for the clubs. Rita?
Well, lastly, we have 3 PowerPoints for you to use. The first is a PowerPoint you can use if a club wants to know what visioning is all about. And you can also use it if the club is to prepare for the visioning event. The second one is to be used at the visioning event with the club. Each slide is scripted so you know just what to say to the club. And lastly, we have a PowerPoint template to give to the club leaders when they show the results of the visioning to the club. It tells a little about visioning and then reports the results and gives a call to action at the very end. We believe the updates and the new documents that will jumpstart the implementation of the visioning will be beneficial to the club's success. Now I will hand this over to Jill to tell you about visioning on a virtual venue.
Thank you, Rita and Kathy. So how do the workshops differ? The answer is the process is the same, yet the tools are different. For both delivery methods, it's important to have representation of your general membership, but also we want some of your newer members, some of your most tenured members, and it's imperative for your club board and leaders to participate. Both methods require the commitment of the participants to fully engage for the entire length of the session or sessions. For on-site delivery, there's a consideration of logistics, location, room setup, and food. But in a virtual format, there are some different requirements. So let's take a poll to see how your districts are currently doing with virtual meetings. So please answer in your poll, what percentage of clubs in your district are having regular, successful virtual club meetings? More than 80%, 50 to 75%, 30 to 50%, or less than 30%. Please select your answer. Thank you for sharing, because it appears that some of your clubs are doing a great job with virtual meetings. Other districts, at least half, are a little more. And a few of your districts have less than a third of your clubs currently meeting in a regular virtual format. The reason that's important is in a virtual format, it's actually important to evaluate if the club will meet the criteria and the eligibility for a virtual session to be effective. So what do I mean by that? Has the club had experience using a virtual method platform such as Zoom? Does the district support the technology platforms to facilitate the delivery in a virtual environment? Do you have the full club commitment to ensure that the same key attendees on site can and will fully engage with the technology that will be required to be effective? And are they committed to attend 2 sessions, at least 90 minutes long, 2 to 5 days apart? Or are they willing to do a longer 3.5-hour session with a short break? In both the on-site and the virtual delivery methods, we now encourage you to send the writing exercise out to the attendees a few days prior to the session. That will allow them time to consider their answers. They're also sent the resources for the foundation and different club models, as well as the Rotary International vision statement for reference. They'll then bring those completed writing exercises to the facilitation or have an electronic or hard copy available if it's a virtual delivery method. Extraction on site still uses flip charts, scribes, and runners, but in a virtual world, IVFC will provide your district with a SurveyMonkey template, and you'll actually have a facilitator scribe directly into SurveyMonkey from an on-screen during extraction. The extractor in both cases will focus on headlines or tweets for simple statements of action that were delivered over the past 3 years. At the end of extraction in a virtual delivery, the scribe will then complete the SurveyMonkey, copy that result, and actually provide the link in the chat of your Zoom meeting so round 1 voting can begin. That can actually be done live, or it can be done at the end of the first session if a virtual event will be held on 2 different days. So after round 1 voting is completed, then the scribe will consolidate the answers, just like in an on-site session, and then eliminate those less chosen from the copied SurveyMonkey file to prepare the link for round 2 voting. That link can be emailed to all participants for completion of votes prior to the second session, or you can start the second session in a virtual format with that link in the chat again. It's critical in a virtual method that all attendees have a separate computer, tablet, or at minimum a smartphone with the Zoom app to facilitate the ability for all attendees to vote. Communication between the district visioning chair, the facilitation lead, and the club is imperative to ensure that all expectations can be met to optimize the club experience during the facilitation. So just like in an on-site facilitation, when you get to the point of summary, it's critical to engage with the attendees. The summary is the opportunity for them to really see who they have become and to be energized to actually make it happen. It's critical that this summary be done with enthusiasm and energy. You are transporting them 3 years into the future, and you will see the pride in their faces. This positions them on a high so they're ready to get started. That sets a stage for them to begin to make it happen. So as Rita and Kathy shared, there was a piece that was missing in the visioning process. So after the examples are provided on the action plan, it's time for them to practice the skills that they'll need to achieve their vision. In an on-site session, they're actually now broken into small groups. In a virtual session, they're sent to breakout rooms. In each method, they're given 15 minutes to actually practice creating an action plan for one of the goals that the facilitator has chosen out of their list of extracted ideas. When they're brought back together, they have a brief opportunity to share that experience with each other as an entire group and to feel empowered with a clear expectation of what they will need to accomplish. The Vision to Success volunteers are then much more eager to step up with having not only having a practice session, but the witnessing of their fellow club members' enthusiastic participation in that process. So with a thumbs up in the reaction menu, how many of you feel that having this hands-on experience during the facilitation can be a catalyst to help the club engage in the action plan process that works best for their club sooner than in the past? I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Whether it's in person or in a virtual delivery, that addition of the small group breakout is a huge opportunity envisioning now that can help your clubs envision their future and make it happen. The result will be stronger, healthier clubs that attract new members and engage their current members in new and innovative ways. As always, it's important that the visioning team have feedback. So we end both sessions with a survey. This can be done on site in a paper format. It can be sent electronically with another SurveyMonkey link, or it could just be a Zoom poll in the virtual delivery to evaluate their experiences. So what do we really want to know? In both delivery models, but especially in a virtual format, we want to ensure that we did our jobs and we met their expectations with enthusiasm to inspire them and to believe in their vision. Now, David will review the roles of your team members. David?
Thanks, Jill. As Jill shared, the process followed for an on-site and virtual Club Vision workshop are the same. This is also true for the roles that are required for the team facilitation. Well, almost. Here you see the 6 roles required to conduct a Club Vision workshop. For a virtual workshop, we see the need for a new facilitator role, the technical host, which handles the virtual technology platform and helps participants with any technical issues during a virtual workshop. We'll talk more about this role and changes to other roles in a couple minutes. First, though, we want to conduct another poll. A team member may handle multiple facilitation roles during a club workshop. But what is the minimum number of facilitators required on a team to conduct a virtual Club Vision workshop? So put your answers out there, please.
All right, David, I think we have everyone.
Okay, and the answer is 3. It looks like most of you got the answer right. While the team needs to cover all 6 facilitation roles during the virtual Club Vision workshop, 3 roles end up having to work together at the same time: the extractor, the scribe, and the technical host. Let's look at these 3 roles and what's changed for a virtual vision session. First, the extractor. Now, the extractor here, we know, isn't the dentist pulling teeth, right? No, it's the facilitator skillfully soliciting club vision ideas from all the participants. In the on-site club workshop, the extractor solicits club member vision ideas by calling on the participants who have raised their hand, and then works with the participants to kind of soundbite their responses for a scribe to write their idea on a flip chart. The same is true in the virtual world, except that the extractor is looking at virtual raised hands and the scribe is typing responses on the screen. In both the virtual and the on-site workshop, the extractor ensures that a full club member participation by noticing and calling on members who are not participating. In the virtual world, the technical host helps the extractor with sending private chats on who has their virtual hand raised and who is not participating. Next is the role of the extractor's partner, the scribe. The scribe has an expanded role in the virtual club vision workshop to capture all the vision ideas online, to set up 2 rounds of online voting, and conduct a synthesis of club results. Before a virtual session, the scribe sets up the writing exercise extraction form on SurveyMonkey. The scribe shares this form on the screen during the extraction and types the responses as the ideas are extracted. You know, the best thing about online scribing is automatic spell check. After the extraction is complete, the scribe closes the form and provides a link to the survey in the chat. Voting is much, much faster in virtual. After round 1 of voting, the scribe then makes a copy of the round 1 ideas, creates the survey of the top priority ideas for round 2, and then sends out the link in the chat for round 2 voting. Then after round 2 voting is complete, the scribe walks the club participants through the voting results to help members see their club vision. We found that the scribe to be in the best position to conduct the club vision synthesis, as they've been analyzing club member ideas when creating the round 2 voting survey. Now, let's look at the technical host role. The technical host is required to operate the virtual technology platform and address any technical issues or questions the participants are having. Let's go through some of the responsibilities. First, the technical hosts the meeting, which involves scheduling the Zoom meeting, setting up screen sharing for the facilitation team, arranging breakout rooms, admitting participants, making online club picture, and recording the workshop. Second, the technical host also helps any participants having problems using their virtual tools. Third, during the extraction, the technical host is another set of eyes for the extractor and privately chats who has hands raised to the extractor. This is a really big help for the extractor. Fourth, as we know, what can go wrong will go wrong in the technology world, as internet can go down when a person is presenting. If the presenter or planner or even the scribe drops during the session, the technical host is ready to jump in to display the presentation or the extraction tool so the workshop can move forward. Speaking of technology, Blaine will talk next about the tools used in the virtual Club Vision workshop.
Thanks, Dave. And we didn't even need a shot of Novocaine for that extraction. For the in-person events, we have provided suggestions in the past to making sure that visioning sessions are as successful as possible. For instance, the U-shaped setup of the room, finding a quiet location, using table tents for names and participant information, even recommending the brand of wall charts that will actually stick to the wall. In a virtual realm, technology provides an ever-changing landscape of tools and resources for us to consider. First, the video conferencing platform that we use is essentially our virtual meeting room. There are a number of programs with similar functions. The opportunity to connect people from remote locations by way of audio and video, share documents and screens, and offer chat features. These programs include Zoom, WebEx, Teams, GoToMeeting, and a number more. You may already be familiar with some of them. We have found that Zoom provides one of the most user-friendly and one of the most commonly used platforms available. It works well for facilitation because of the gallery view, where you can see up to 49 people on your screen. The video and audio quality have proven to be very reliable, and it functions very well over a variety of devices, including smartphones, tablets, and computers. Zoom also allows for the use of breakout rooms. So during the facilitation, we can break into small groups to work on that action plan. For the facilitation team, we do recommend using a computer with a strong wired internet connection to host the visioning session. Dual monitors make life much easier as well, so that we can see everyone, watch the waiting room and chat features, as well as run PowerPoint and SurveyMonkey. In switching to a virtual facilitation, we need a substitute for those wall charts to allow individuals to vote remotely on the ideas collected. This is the program or app that the scribe will use to record the ideas extracted. The scribe will share his or her screen so the virtual participants can see the ideas being recorded and confirm what is written down accurately represents the idea shared, just like the wall chart. We have experimented with a number of these programs and have found that SurveyMonkey provides the best options. First, it's easy to replicate templates based on the writing exercise, which makes it very efficient to use over and over again with club visioning sessions. There is no limit on the number of ideas that can be recorded in each section, and it provides options to ensure individuals vote for the correct number of ideas under each section. And of course, we have already mentioned the helpful spell check. Once extraction is complete, a link to the survey can easily be sent to participants using the chat feature. When the first round of voting is finished, sort the responses from the most popular to least popular, and easily eliminate the less popular choices for the next round of voting. Finally, SurveyMonkey is an excellent way to save the results from each round of voting and provide to the club for use in crafting their master plan. On the downside, SurveyMonkey does require a paid subscription to access several of the functions we really like. As an alternative, Google Forms works as well and is free of charge. Now, Glenn will share with you some of the additional resources we have available for you.
Thank you, Jill, Dave, Blaine, for the information pertaining to the virtual platform. Now, you may ask, what documents are available and where? As subscribed members of the IVFC, the following documents should be available to you at the International Visioning Facilitation Council Incorporated, the website, www.rivisionfacilitation.org. There, these are some of the new writing exercise, the new PowerPoints, the master plan and action plan, which are covered in the Vision to Success Guide. Other IVFC resources available would be the Rotary International Vision Statement, copies of the Rotary International Club Models, a pre-session club profile, along with various Rotary Foundation materials and documents that may help you keep track of membership, fundraising, and service hours. Other promotional letters and videos will be forthcoming on the IVFC website. Now to hear about how to best track your club successes, I'll turn it over to Michael Erickson, who will address what analytics are recommended. Michael?
There are 4 pieces of information we are attempting to get from the clubs: members, fundraising in dollars, giving to the Rotary Foundation, and service hours. We also want to know the date of the last visioning done by each club. We would like the district coordinator to capture as much of the information as possible. Items 1 and 3 should be very easy. Items 2 and 4, not so much. So I'd not be surprised if we do not get the data from all the clubs. But even a small sample will be useful. Now, how do we measure the success of club visioning? We have found that a successful club visioning results in clubs that have engaged members who are active in supporting their community in service and the Rotary Foundation in financial support. By measuring a starting point prior to a club visioning, and then measuring at the 1, 2, and 3-year points, we have quantifiable results to support the benefits of this improved process. Now, Tom and Laura, how will we let our clubs know about the new version of visioning?
Well, we have presentations on the shelf ready to be used and others in development. Our promotional materials covers club, district, zone, and other events that Rotary sponsors. We've even created a Facebook group to facilitate the sharing of resources and best practices. So today we have joining us Laura Carey, a member of the Rotary Club of Vincennes, Indiana. Laura, can you tell us about your club in 2015 before visioning as relates to club size and demographics and activities?
Well, thank you, Tom. So our club was getting ready to celebrate its centennial. Our membership was aging. We had no new members coming into the club. We only had one person in 5 years that had brought anyone into the club. They, of course, didn't stay. We had the same 2 fundraisers for the past 20 years, and it was almost impossible to get anyone to help. The committees we had did not function. There was no consistent message coming out of our club because each year, of course, we have a new president and therefore a new focus. We have become a very complacent and tired club.
Laura, at the end of the visioning session, who got engaged?
You know, once the visioning session was over, our newest members and our future leaders were ready and willing to volunteer with the next step. They helped with the development of our mission statement. Even our seasoned members were re-energized and refreshed to move forward in a new direction for our future.
So Laura, what impact did that have in your community?
Well, the impact in our community was phenomenal. We went from giving away $8,000 a year in scholarships to over $24,000 a year for our Knox County High School seniors. We're more focused on youth and literacy. Our district grants are focused on literacy and community development in parks.
That sounds very good. So what was the impact in your club?
We are now a high energy club with a more diverse membership. We have a strong leadership and a great succession plan with our leadership. Our newer members are engaged not only in our different committees, but also in bringing in new members to our club. Our club membership has grown 18% since our first visioning event. We have developed a mentorship program. We have grown our footprint in our schools to 3 strong and vibrant Interact clubs.
So Laura, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
You know, visioning has given our club a new positive direction for our current and future leaders. Our communication throughout our club is strong and consistent. Without visioning, I'm really not sure where our membership would be today. But with visioning, I feel we will be strong. We will be a strong club for another 100 years.
Well, thank you very much, Laura. And Glenn, what are our next steps?
Thank you, Tom and Laura, for sharing your concerns and successes. We look forward to further information that will be helpful in getting the word out. As Tom asked, what's next? Well, you are encouraged to review the resource materials on the IVFC website. The IVFC will be conducting skill training sessions in November and December. So please save the dates of November 19th, when we will be doing a deeper dive into how to get results from the new materials. And on December 3rd, when we will focus on the virtual delivery steps. Both sessions will be at 6 p.m. Central. We have more planned in 2021, but really want to know what you want to have available. Now, if you noticed in the chat, Jill has added the registration link for the November 19th session. Also, please type in the chat any specific training materials and how you would like to receive them. So let's now have a time of questions and answers. Now, you may raise your hand to be unmuted or type your question in the chat for Jill to recognize. We will direct your questions to the IVFC committee members who is versed in such areas. So who has that first question?
So I have a question for you, Glenn. So we're going to ask the attendees this evening if they've got a club that's had a great success with visioning, if they would share that with us so that we could use it as a testimonial.
Good question. Well, please add, you can add that back into the chat if you've got some good testimony, or share it with us now. Also shown in the chat, Michael Hayes asked about how to access this recording. That should be received and sent back out to the participants either later this evening or tomorrow for us to utilize.
Glenn, this is Sam Scroggins.
Sam.
And I have a little feedback that we picked up on Saturday at the district conference, that it was recognized that we've had about a dozen clubs in our district, that's District 5830, go through visioning. And it was recognized by the immediate past district governor that the clubs that in our leadership's view that have been the most successful are those clubs that went through visioning. They've been stronger. Their projects have been more dynamic. They've been able to grow where most of the clubs in the district have been flat or downturning a little bit. So I think at least our district management certainly believes visioning is paying off in SCADs. I think the improvements that I've been exposed to with what you're doing are just really going to boost it much, much more.
Great. Now, thanks for sharing that, Sam. We appreciate that. And I know Tom, and in the past, and Laura and Rita here in Heart of America, we statistically have shown some great successes in not only membership growth, but also in foundation giving and other aspects all across the board. So it's not just a membership tool, but it helps all in all. Excellent. One in chat, Bill raises a question too about even sending out the written exercise in advance. What we've seen, it really saves a lot of time that can be put back into time for extractions. But by having them to receive that in advance, to be thinking about their comments, their dreams, their wishes, when we've done some of the pilots over the last few weeks and months, you can see it runs much more smoother, and the Rotarians have time to really contemplate and think about what they want going into that meeting. So a very good question there.
Yeah, and I think, Glenn, the other piece of that, the question was asked earlier, is by doing the writing exercise in advance, it frees up time for the action plan practice. which we really think is a critical piece to have that practice that night, because they really get excited about seeing, oh, this isn't as hard as it seems. And now we've actually done one of them, and we've seen how a couple other groups did that.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
Glenn, Richard in the chat has asked, which is the preferred delivery method, 2 sessions or 1?
Maybe Jill, you and Dave could address that. Dave?
Yes. I think either one works. I mean, we've done piloting on both single and 2 sessions. It's kind of, the process is the same. It's just a matter of where you make your splits. Because it's important to really introduce the action plan and the master plan along the way. And whether that's practiced in the first session or in a second session or follow-on session, either way works. So it's kind of up to the club culture and what that working with a club also, whether 1 session or 2 sessions makes sense.
Okay.
Excellent.
Also, Glenn, William Craig asks, how many club members are preferred to participate in visioning for a Rotary Club?
Well, of course, the Brady Bunch is, as you see on the screen, in order to see a lot of faces. We won't actually every member to participate in some fashion, in a sense. The average Rotary Club, of course, is about 35, 36 members. They won't all be able to participate at these events, whether it's in person or even virtually. But it does open it up to more people. Like tonight, we've got some 50 some odd people that have registered to participate even in this. But, try to meet the needs, find out what those individuals really want to make it, let's say, worth the drive and participate each and every week in a Rotary Club. So, I wouldn't turn any away to be a part of this, that sort of deal.
Glenn, I'd like to add in on for the virtual session, if you're going to have a session, because every participant you have has ideas, you have to kind of watch the number of participants. And so we've been running around 20 members is probably a good number to get good cross-representation of the leadership, new members, experienced members, and such. And we found that to work through the 8 sessions we've done. So
I'll answer that question. John Williams asked the question, do we need to update our visioning process? The process really is very much the same as it always has been, whether it is on-site or virtual. It's really basically the very same process, just with some enhancements and some add-ons. The one piece that we are recommending now is that writing exercise ahead of time so that it opens up time for the action plan. Otherwise, pretty much everything in the process is the same.
And then to be able to spend more time on that action plan to really follow through successfully in months to come. I know Leland also asked about the training events. Of course, we were kicking this off with tonight's informational update. And then, as I previously mentioned, we will be having the elective sessions for you to come back and experience a deeper dive, whether it be in the curriculum that'll be focused upon at the November 19th meeting in 2 weeks with Kathy and Rita at the helm, talking about the various new things or focus on the master plan itself and action plan, the follow through. And then later on, December 3rd, with the virtual team of Jill, Dave, and Blaine, to talk more in detail about the opportunity of virtual. Then you can reach out also to your individual zone coordinators that will be able to share information with you as well on setting up some particular type programs individually with your districts. Sure can. Other questions there that we need to address? You catch?
Yeah, Glenn, excuse me. Barry Caven asks, how have the pilot programs been received?
I think very good. I'm going to let Dave and Jill talk about that because they were the main ones that did the pilots. Please.
I can take that one. I think that it's been basically a shot in the arm of energy for these clubs. They were looking for something to help get focused, to help get their clubs re-energized when their year was turned upside down. But it gave them an opportunity using the virtual format to really see they can do things, they can move forward. And we've had great responses from the clubs who've gone through it. They like that action plan exercise, and they really are walking out or logging off on fire for what they're getting ready to accomplish. So we've seen some phenomenal responses to this new program with the Vision to Success. David, anything?
Yes, I'd like to just echo what Jill said, because that's what we're finding. We've done 8 virtual sessions, and every club has given really positive feedback. Actually, 91% said strongly agree or agree that it was really beneficial, and the rest were neutral. So it's really getting good feedback. One of the surprising things was that about half of them think that virtual is better than an on-site session. So I think that was positive to show that virtual can get the job done.
Other questions you may have?
Tamara wants to know, is the PowerPoint still introduced at the event?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Michael Hayes says, our district has been able to put a number of new clubs. When we do visioning with new clubs, their Rotary knowledge is so low. The visioning results are shallow. How do we introduce Rotary knowledge without guiding the outcome?
Excellent. Well, we are sending out new resources, and I mentioned a few of them in what's available on the website, but there are just some basic Rotary information to share with them, whether it be about the Rotary Foundation, our membership, our fundraising, things of this, sort, and public image that are very vital, knowledge-based type information that the new members can have. So I would share that. We're sending that out like with the RVQ early on, so they, be a little bit more educated going into the session itself.
Yeah, and I'd also suggest that maybe that's a prime club to have a program on what's out there for Rotary, or drive them to websites, your district website, the international website, so that they come a little bit prepared with the idea that there is a whole big world of Rotary out there beyond their club.
I see Sam has a question. What do the vision facilitation do for post-visioning follow-up, and when? So we found that the best thing to do is to say, thank you, close off the virtual session. Could those facilitators stay on for a few more minutes while we talk about upcoming events? And then we do a post-session feedback and kind of what went well, what can we be improving on, and give individual facilitators feedback along that. And it takes about 15, 20 minutes, but we found that to be really valuable, not only to get ideas and information out there, but also to help in the training of facilitators to give them feedback and tips.
Excellent. Yeah, and Rita, you might want to add to that too about the follow through, because as a Rotary coordinator, that is a big stumbling block for so many of the clubs and their success if they don't carry it to that next level. And I know what Kathy and Rita have worked up and the IVFC has introduced with the follow-up to the action plan is so critical. Rita, you all take.
I think you're absolutely right, Glenn. One of the things that we find is that if we can help jumpstart the club members with using the action plans, that they're more likely to go back to the club, number one, with enthusiasm, but number two, being skilled in developing those action plans. And when you do an action plan, you develop all the tasks. And once they know, like, oh, we're going to have 10 tasks to have to do to accomplish this goal, then they can, look at who can accomplish that, what resources they need. And it's so much better to have that plan in their head and for their team to work on accomplishing that goal together. And if they plan it together, then they're more likely to accomplish it.
Bill had an interesting question. He wanted to know how the contact information for the team members, the leadership members. And we'll be more than happy to send that out to an email as a follow-up from this session, I would think.
Sure will. Well, let's take a look. Let's now take a look at the team who will support you. The IVFC board. This is the list of that. It's shown above in the various different positions. But for additional information, please reach out to any of these IVFC members and contact your local zone coordinator as shown here. You can also reach out via the web in our Contact Us section at the website. And it has a lot of new materials that have been placed on the web, so really go in and research that as we've discussed earlier. Any other questions that you'd like to share this evening? If not, thank you for participating tonight. We hope that you have found this informative and that you play a very important role as a GPS on a roadmap to success. It has been our privilege to serve you, and thank you, and good night.